Hi.
Hello,
What is
everyone.
going on, everybody? How you doing? This is your boy, the Birdman from the Birdman Show. First of all, I want to welcome everybody. We will be getting started very shortly. Um, I'm working on a few things here, but I mean, we are here. We're live. We're on TikTok, of course, and of course, we're also rock and rolling on YouTube as well. So we'll get started very shortly. Thank you very much. Mwah. What is up, everybody? How are you doing? It's your boy, the Birdman from the Birdman Show. You already know what to do, so why don't you go ahead and do it with us? That's right. I know you're hearing in the background that hip hop hooray. That's right. Yeah, that's right. We getting up in here. I thought I'd start the show off with a little bit lighter music. This is I don't know how well this episode's gonna go. We'll definitely figure that out. But guys, say what's up to my peoples rock and rolling with us on TikTok and rock and rolling with us on YouTube. Thank you guys so very much for joining with us. TikTok, you already know what to do. I already see you guys doing it. So let's keep it going. Let's get those likes up. Um, but let's get to it. I gotta say what's up to my co-host because we decided to put together this panel for this episode. In case you're wondering, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about grief, blended families, co-parenting, and absent parents. Now this has the potential to be, when I say a really good show, I mean a show that hopefully can help people if you're struggling in these areas. I know I am. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing from my co-hosts on this, sharing their insights, as well as giving my own insights, and as well as listening to the people in the audience, seeing what they have to say about these as well. But without further ado, I got to say what's up to my co-host. I've got Carrie, aka Deathlight, joining us. We've got Ace, of course, Hydro, Lady Phoenix, and Miss D. How is everybody doing? Miss D, let's start with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to shake off a little sleep. But I'm doing okay.
I'm telling you right now, uh, people talk about James Brown being the hardest man working in show business. Miss D is one of the hardest women I know working. That woman, every time I talk to that woman working, hey, I get some sleep. Next thing I know, 30 minutes later, she right back up and at him. So you were a true warrior, ma'am, and I salute thee. Thank you very much for what all you do. You're definitely loved. You're definitely loved. Let's say what's up. Let's just go. Let's just go around this way. Lady Phoenix, what is up?
Hello.
How you doing, sis?
Yeah, living the dream.
Okay, I was about to say no, I don't know. That's why I asked. But you're living the dream, huh?
No, not really.
Nightmares
Oh,
and dreams.
It's a dream to
Fuck that
some, a
dream.
nightmare to others.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, right.
What'd you
You know what I'm
say?
saying?
Nightmare on Elm
Elm
Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is good to see you. Glad you're here. Hydro, what is up, bro? How are we doing?
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there. How was your day today?
It was a day.
Yeah, I think we can all agree to that. It was definitely something. Ace, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Well, went to the doctor today. Every time I go to the doctor, it seems like they put another fucking medication on me. So,
Oh, so it's not hemorrhoids?
not this time.
Oh.
Wrong doctor.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, and it wasn't the proctologist this time. It was the cardiologist.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, you're close. I mean,
They got all audited. Just the ending's the same. Shut up, Carrie.
there's an ending there. All right. Anyways,
At some point, not today, but at some point, y'all are gonna learn what TMI is and like learn when
Oh,
to
yeah.
stop.
TMI, that's a rapper, isn't it? That's a rapper,
Who's-
TMI.
Who?
Who's pregnant?
What?
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 Did you say somebody was pregnant?
No.
Ace.
That's what I heard too. I heard pregnant.
Okay, then I'm not losing my mind completely.
Ace is the one that just got back from the doctor.
You got those, bro? No, we all about to be in the money. Yeah, at some point in time, we'll learn what TMI is. I was referring to Tip, one of the greatest rappers alive. Anyways, that flight.
Talking about just
Shine your little light on us. What's up? How are you doing?
I'm here. I'm breathing. Woo.
That's good because that would be a little weird for you to be here.
and
without-
not be breathing.
I would have to immediately cancel the show and call 911. Or an exorcist, because if you're talking and not breathing, that's enough.
Well, you might still keep that exorcist on the back burner.
Oh, I do. Dealing with death light. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Wait a minute, wrong show.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen of the discussion panel, like I said, we are talking about grief, blended families, co-parenting, and absent parents on this episode. Now, originally, this episode was this episode kind of brought together because there was a couple of different audience members that kind of blended this episode.
Well, it was just one.
It was just
Man.
one.
But it was Mandy had brought up grief as a topic, and then she put the blended families and co-parenting and everything in another topic. And knowing that people deal with grief in all three of those subtopics, we decided to just combine it and make it one topic of its own and invite people to come in and share.
Yes, that's what we did. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I am going to apologize to my co-hosts as well as the audience up front. Because as looking more deeply into this, because I'll be honest with you, when the topic first came to us, I was struggling with the grief part. Um, like the blended families, co-parenting, absent parents. Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm good to go with, but it's not something that I feel like I'll have an extremely hard time talking about. The grief part became difficult. Like I said before, it's just like one of those things where I mean, how are we going to really tackle this? Whatever. I mean, yes, we can talk about grief, but how are we really going to tackle this until I really start doing more research on it? And it hit me a lot harder than I thought, just because realizing and really breaking down and peeling back the layers of just what the word grief really means, exposed a lot that I really was not expecting, and I was definitely not prepared for. My goal was to try to do this all in one episode. I'm still going to try to stick to that goal as much as possible, but there's a great chance that we might not. So we're gonna dive into this. First thing I want to do is I want to ask everybody. We're gonna go around the room. Let's start with screw it. Let's keep it where I was. Miss D. I'm gonna start with you. What is your understanding of the word grief?
Um, Grief and I have a very tumultuous relationship. Um, because I look at it from so many different angles, both personally and professionally with what I do. Um, understand, I know a lot of people don't know my story. Um, I haven't had really an opportunity to share my story. Um, but my first real experience with grief, I lost a child, my son, um, when he was 1 month shy of his third birthday. He would have been turning 25 this year. That was my very first experience with true grief. And at that point, I started learning about the stages of grief. It took a long time for me to get to where I'm at now, where I actually, being a death doula, can help people navigate grief when it comes to the loss of a loved one. But grief isn't just about death and losing somebody that you love. I mean, you can grieve um, a relationship, you can grieve a friendship, you can grieve, you know, losing a home. Grief is about loss in any perspective. And there's different stages of grief. So I look at it from from a professional point and then from a personal point, and I kind of have to go into the perspective of from where is the grief coming from and go from there. It's I mean that's pretty much all I can say. It's a very personalized thing in every situation. You have to look at it situation to situation.
100%, I agree with that. We got two follow things for you, Miss D. Number one, I am definitely feel for you on the loss of a child. No parent ever expects to, to have to lose a child before they go. So my heart definitely goes out to you on that. Prayers, all that stuff, because I don't care how long ago it was, it's still there.
Mhm.
So you definitely have my prayers and thoughts. Second thing, you said you do what now again?
So I'm a certified death doula on top of all of the other things that I do. I can almost be a liaison between people on hospice who are going through basically grieving the loss before it happens, and kind of help usher somebody at the end of life into their next journey, and help their families, their loved ones, understand the steps that are happening.
Well, I've never heard it. How has that been going on for for a while? I mean,
In a lot of ways, yes. It's a fairly new title, but it's something that people in my field have been doing for a long time
wow.
without necessarily being specialized in it. But you figure, I mean, we have doulas that bring life into the world.
Mhm.
Why not give the same respect for the people who have lived that life and are going on to the next chapter?
Wow, that's amazing. That is freaking phenomenal. Like I said, hardest working woman in show business, in any business.
It's not work when you love what you do, though, honestly.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that. That is awesome. Listen, I already had much respect for you to begin with. That just grew like beyond that. Just in that few minutes hearing you talk about everything that you do. And that, man, that's freaking crazy. That's phenomenal to me. Okay. Wow. Sorry, I was blown away by that one. Whew, okay. Carrie, aka Deathlight, you get to follow that up. Um what is your understanding of grief?
Loss. It's loss. I fortunately have not lost loved ones. I mean, my grandparents passed, but I was super young, so my brain didn't really understand it. But I mean, just the last 2 years, almost 3 years, I pretty much lost everything. So I've been in a grieving period with all of that, trying to move on from what I thought was going to be my life and where I was headed, and I had all these plans, and then it just all disappeared. And all the domino effects that came along with it, and the people and friends and everything that I lost in that process while I was basically trying to heal as best I could and get through it. So it's loss. I mean, I even lost my dog in the process of losing everything else. So it's been it's been rough. And the best way that I was dealing with it was sticking my head in the sand and just not dealing with it until about last couple months. Then you have to start almost accepting what's going on. It's a slow process and it's different for everybody, but it's a
Yeah,
very, very, very slow process.
that's 100.
And there's some days that are easier than others.
But I would say this, in all your loss, it gained a big brother.
Two, technically.
Yeah, that's right too. Yes,
Hmm.
yes. I'm more important.
Sometimes I would like to return to sender, though.
Wow. Rude.
Well, clutch my pearls, I declare. No, you didn't. Wow, that's cold blooded right there, ma'am. That is cold blooded. Um, okay. What happened, JJ?
JJ?
Yeah, there's a nice cooler up there. Okay, moving right along. Um, I do want to hit a couple of comments here. Um, I'm gonna start with DK, his comment. And I can relate to this. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people can. But he said I don't deal with grief very well. I shut people out and shut down. I'm 100%. I guess I'm not speaking for nobody else. That 100% slaps me upside the head. I'm the exact same way. I've been trying to get better about that. But it's still it's a habit, something I have to break. And I do realize that, acknowledge that, and that's probably the biggest step to correcting that. Is not is acknowledging that you do it and then try to change that. Um, Tabs goes on to say, grief is a different journey for everyone, 100%. Ace, do me a favor, keep it
Sorry.
TikTok comments. If you see something on there while I'm doing this, just let me know.
Tim, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, though. The whole thing was saying that, it's a habit and that something that you need to break. Understand from a professional level, learning what the stages of grief are, shutting people out and kind of, as said, sticking your head in the sand. That's actually one of the stages. That's part of the process. Some people do it, some people don't, or some people do it so quickly that they don't realize they do it, but it is actually a part of the process. So it's not really a habit as more as it is human nature and part of what almost every person does when they're going through it. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a habit that you need to be aware of to try and break. Just understand that that is part of the process. The difference is once you realize that's what's happening, is how do you move on from there?
See, this is why I love you, Miss D. This is why
Thank
that's another huge reason why I love you, because we are definitely going to talk about the different stages and different levels of grief. Because that was one thing I was looking at that just really hit me. Especially when I got to number 12 on that list. That one bothers me a lot. Because I experience it probably more than any other um levels of grief. And I think they said there was 16. I think 16. Is it 16 that they were talking about in this one? Yeah, 16 different types of grief. That's in this particular article that we'll go over here in a sec. But yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you so very much. That's 100% true. I look at it as a habit and something I think I have to break, and don't realize that it's just part of grief. And the way I'm processing at that time. Okay, so let's go with JJ. Let's go with you, Lady
Yes.
Phoenix. What is your understanding of grief?
Well, I am I'm grieving several things right now. So I'm still trying to figure that out for myself.
Okay,
So,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's
yeah.
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And honestly, Miss D's comment about, one of the stages is avoidance and kind of sticking your head in the sand and, hiding away. Uh, kind of, kind of hit.
Didn't it though?
Yeah.
It slapped like my grandma's fried chicken used to slap. You heard? You know what I'm saying? Like some good old gumbo. That's the
Mhm.
kind of slap we got right there.
The slap your mama.
Yeah, the slapping mama gumbo, right? Yeah, that's what you got right there.
Yeah.
No, 100%. No, you are 100%. That is a beautiful answer. As much as it, and much as somebody might think that wasn't an answer, it's a beautiful answer. Why? Because there's probably someone out there listening that is in the same stage you're at right now. So that's why this is one of the main reasons why I love the panel the way we're doing it, is because there's going to be times where, and as we hear from Shane and then we're going to hear from Ace, um, as we've already heard from Deathlight, Lady Phoenix, and we've heard from Miss D, there's going to be people that are going to be in the different types of stages that we may be at right now. And that's what's beautiful about it, is that at some point in time, someone's going to say something that's really going to resonate with someone out there listening. And I think that's the most important thing to me when it comes to this. That's why I apologize ahead of time, because this grief one is really tough. And somebody might say, well, why didn't you save it for last? Because my anxiety was so high dealing with this. There's no way I could do it last, because I probably would have been a wreck the rest of the show until we got to that point. So I much rather just tackle it head on, get through this part, and then move on. So that's one way I wanted to do that. I do want to hit a couple other comments before we move on to Hydro. Let's see, what was one? We got one from Christy, which was a comment that went along with Miss D. And she's doing the same. No child, your child shouldn't go before a parent. Because I know she says she's grieving the loss of her daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're 100%. Desiree came in, and she said, I still grieve my grandma all the time, and she passed in 2010. Yeah, yeah. I'll talk to you about my grandma here in a few. Let's see. Tab says, grief feels like a piece is missing. 100%. Now, Christy, I'm gonna save that comment, because that's gonna be one that's we're gonna hit on here later. Well, actually, I'll go ahead and pull it up, because I want to make sure, I want to bring attention to it, but I also want to make sure that this is something we are not that one. My bad. Sorry. This one. People try and tell you how to grieve. And like I said, I wanted to mention it now. That is something we're definitely going to hit on, because that is, yeah. Anyways, Desiree also came back, says that her and Ace's uncle passed away on Dez's birthday, so birthdays are a little difficult. And trust me, sweetie, we're going to talk about some things that happen around, especially notable times in lives. I'll hit one more comment. DK, wow, you're really hurting me today, buddy. A lot of times, the people that get shut out become triggers, and it makes it even harder to deal with in the grieving process. Man, mm, mm, mm. Mm, 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 mm. I tell you what, people, this is going to be one of those. Ace, did you see any on TikTok that you wanted to bring forward?
There was a couple.
Okay. Go ahead this time, and then we're going to move on to Hydro, and then we'll hear from you.
Angel says that she deals with death, or she deals with grief through denial.
Mm-hmm.
And Amber says that she deals with grief every day, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, for those that are watching, who've been watching the show before, if you notice, I'm not sharing everybody's comments on the screen, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll bring the comments where everybody can see the comments in real time on not TikTok, but on YouTube, because the people on TikTok can't see what people are saying on YouTube, and vice versa. And the reason why is because I feel that there was going to probably be some comments that may trigger other people. And I'm not say trigger, but may send you off in a thinking tangent, like I sometimes get, like, and I'm trying to avoid as much as possible. So I kind of refrain from doing that. So I'm kind of proofreading those things, and I'm sharing the ones that I think that may not upset somebody at some point in time. This is like one of those ones where I am very, very, very conscious of what we share. So I love you guys. All right. Hydro, same question to you. What is your understanding of grief?
Losing somebody that you care about, a loved one, but also losing yourself too. because of an accident, because of trauma. So in 2013, it's hard to talk about. I'm gonna do my best here. 2013, somebody I considered a brother to me, he took his own life. That took a huge part of me. And then I'll never forget it. March of 2018, I was 3 months into the military whenever I had my accident. And as soon as that accident happened, I know that the person that I was before, I'll never be that person ever again. And through my journey, I've lost friends that were super close to me because of it. Um, I'm good with my family now, but I went down a dark path of just being an alcoholic. Back in October, I know you remember it, Tim. Whenever we were in that program, I lost my dog to
Yep.
diabetes. Um, then I lost my father-in-law to brain cancer, and then just this month, I lost a friend who got hit and killed on his motorcycle by a drunk driver. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay. That's tough. Ace,
Yes, sir.
you know the drill.
Remind me again.
What is grief to you?
Grief comes in all different shapes and sizes. It's not necessarily just the loss of someone, something, or anything like that. You can grieve over the fact that you're not able to get yourself back to a place where you used to be. You can grieve over the fact that there was a job opportunity that you had put in for that you didn't get, that you knew that you were overqualified for, that they gave it to somebody else for social reasons or for political reasons or whatever. I mean, grief isn't just about loss. I mean, yes, you lost yourself, but you're not grieving over the fact that you lost yourself. You're grieving over the fact that you can't get yourself back. Because you know who you want to be. It's just a matter of going through the steps to make yourself be that person again. And not knowing the process, not knowing what steps to take, that puts stress, that puts grief, that puts so much on you that it puts you in a state that you don't want to be in. So I mean, Shane took my answer. You might want to mute, babe. JJ.
We're
Okay.
God damn it.
I got you.
The loss of yourself. When you lose yourself, it could be so many different things in life that cause that to happen. Whether it be from mine started whenever I was resurrected. March 1st of 2015, I got brought back to life. And that unlocked a door within me that I had locked up for so long. And everything that was inside that room was front and center. And then whenever I had a motorcycle accident, it just increased everything, because then the unconscious thoughts were there. And it cost me so much whenever I lost myself. And I have just recently started. I'm not saying that I've completely found myself, because you will never completely find yourself. You can get yourself back to a better place, but getting yourself back to the person you were before all of this happened will never happen. You can be a better person of you, but you will never be that person again. That's the thing about grief. Grief changes somebody. Whether you're the one going through it, or if you are secondhand grief, if you're the support system for somebody who is going through it, it will forever change you. And I'll stop there for now. Birdman,
Yeah.
you know the drill.
I can give you the technical meaning for grief. And grief is the anguished experience after significant loss, usually the death of a beloved one. Grief often includes psychological distress, separation anxiety, confusion, yearning, obsessive dwelling on the past, and apprehensive about the future. Intense grief can become life threatening through disruption of the immune system, self neglect, and suicidal thoughts. Grief may also take the form of regret for something lost, remorse for something done, or sorrow for a mishap to oneself. Now, I'm going to say this before moving forward. If you or anyone you know is dealing with these types of issues, I do encourage you. One outlet you can go to is called the Bridge to Recovery. Um, I have actually a link for this in the description of this episode, but there it is also on your screen. I do phenomenal things there. This is not um, a like advertisement, but I looking at their website and things that they do, um, I think are very helpful. Now, to go along with everything that has been said, um, I have been dealing with grief now that I understand it since roughly I was 10 years old. Um, I have lost a lot in life. Um, the only man that I ever knew, as we have Mandy joining us.
Hello.
Hey Mandy, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling rough, so I'm not going to show myself. But you guys
No,
seen me the other day. That's all good.
you're fine, sweetie. You're fine. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna back out because I want to hear from you. I
You can
want you
finish
to,
talking first.
huh?
You can finish talking first.
No, I want to hear from you.
Oh, well, you were in a story and I interrupted. I apologize.
That story ain't going nowhere.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But I do want to hear from you. Have you heard? Did you hear the question before?
No, I just heard you say a man, and that's all I heard. So I didn't hear the
Okay, cool.
question.
Okay, so
Hello,
the
everyone,
question
by the way.
I've posed to
Hello,
everybody on
Mandy.
so far is
I think you're
your
still muted,
understanding
JJ.
of what grief is.
What my opinion of what grief is?
Yeah,
Your
your
understanding.
your perspective on what
Okay.
grief and what it means to you.
First of all, there's 22 stages of grief.
Mm.
I don't know if people realize that. My perspective in my lifetime, I've had so much trauma, and grief has a hold on me in my life. Um, because sometimes when you don't have the closure, you'll never get past the grief. We sometimes link on to that pain because of the person we lost. I've worked in the healthcare since I was 16 and worked my way up the ladder. So I've done Alzheimer's, dementia, been unit managers, QMA, nursing, you name it. I've seen it all personally, and I've done it personally, if that makes sense. Watching your loved one die right in front of you and knowing you can't do anything about it is one of the hardest things anybody can go through. As most of you know, I just lost my dad just about 5.5 months ago, and I'm a daddy's girl. And to watch him flatline in front of me after struggling for 3.5 weeks in the hospital, that grief took a different toll on me than any other grief has in my past. And I've lost my husband, my mom, aunts, uncles, grandma, you name it. And I'm an only child. So when it comes to grief, if you don't have family or support, in my perspective of it, you're going to struggle even harder. And Ace knows me. I mean, most of you know me, but Ace knows me a little bit more. I'm a private person. I kind of keep it to myself unless I absolutely have to talk to someone. Never been to a therapist. It's been recommended. Should I? Probably. But I'm just going to sit there and cry the whole time. I mean, that's just facts. But people need to understand too, and I'll just say this: stop telling people you know how they feel. I'm not trying to be the bee when I say that, but everybody goes through it different. You know, one of you guys could have lost your father, and I will say, I'm sorry, condolences, I understand, but is there anything I can do, because I don't know how they're feeling? You can go back and base that on even religion if you wanted to, because some people just don't show emotions. Or I'll give you an example. My son don't know I'm on this right now, so it's all good. He has never dealt with the loss of my husband. He has never grieved properly. And he's just 25. He's young. To already lose, his grandparents, his great grandparents, a role model that was a dad to him that taught him everything. If you don't grieve properly, you're just stuck. And sometimes I think I'm stuck. So I guess grief is you're stuck in pain. That's a perspective, in my opinion.
Mm.
I agree
Very
with
good.
that.
Very, very good opinion. Very good perspective. And that's how I felt for the better part of 30 plus years. Felt stuck. At a very early age, I lost the only man I knew who felt like a grandfather to me, because I never knew either one of my grandparents as far as my grandfathers. My dad's father died when he was very young, so I never got a chance to meet him. My mother's father was not in the very best of positions to be a grandfather. We'll just leave it at that. I knew both of my grandmothers. I love both of them women dearly. My mom's mother died also while I was young. But my father's mother was by far my best friend. I can go to her about anything, for anything. And she passed when I was a little bit older. I was blessed to have her 23, almost 24 years of my life. But when she passed, there was a hole, a void that was left that I couldn't even begin to try to fill. I was angry. Probably the most I'd ever cried in my life. But something happened after that. I stopped feeling. I just stopped everything. I had very little emotions when it came to anything or anyone until my daughter was born. My oldest daughter was born. She was born. We did not know if she was going to make it. She was born 3 months early. She was 1 pound, 3.5 ounces. They didn't give her very good options, a very good survival rate. But she did. She fought. The child's 22 years old now. Extremely beautiful young lady. Then I joined the military. I joined the military and it was tough. It was tough because
You basically traded one grief for another.
Mm-hmm.
I lost friends. I lost family. And in a lot of ways, I felt that I traded my soul for, I don't know. I had to take lives, way too many, and do things that I don't wish to put upon my worst enemy. And I never, ever dealt with it. I never dealt with my grief. I just became more and more angry in a lot of ways. I feel like I was turned into the Incredible Hulk because it just seemed like no matter what was going on, I just would get angry about everything. And just like most everybody here on this panel, and Mandy said it best, private people. I got very good at being the life of the party as far as making everybody laugh and keeping things going and doing things like that. And no one ever knew what was going on with me. The one thing I would tell people is the hardest thing about being a soldier is coming back from a war and not having the visible injuries that a lot of soldiers come back with, because people think you're fine. And for me, that played perfectly into how I try to carry myself. Public. I mean, Ace has seen me. JJ, they've seen me in person. Dez is in the audience. See me in person. I can act completely and utterly fine. And it got to the point, and this is what really scared me, Miss D. It got to the point, and it has gotten to the point where I feel like it's more of a switch at times.
It's what we call masking.
That I've gotten to the point where I could turn it on and off. And that scares me, especially after looking at some of the stuff when it comes to grief. And hearing everybody else as well. Like, it terrifies me now. Because on the list, and Mandy had said there's 22 stages, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I want to say something real quick, Tim. What you said, how you switched and you did things. I think we all do that with grief. My son turned to alcohol and other things,
Mhm.
and by the grace of God, He had a really bad accident, and I don't know how he walked away. He doesn't even know. And like he hugged me, and he's like, I should have died. Like he knows. I'm proud to say he's been sober for 3 years now.
Good
That's
for
great.
him.
He also, like, trauma and grief go hand in hand, and I don't think a lot of people understand that either. You can have grief over an illness you have. You can have grief for someone else that's sick. You can mourn them with and have grief symptoms. It's grief is so, I don't know what the word is, strong and takes a hold of a person. But like with my son, and I'll say this, and I know I'm talking about my youngest because I'm close with him, but we're both stubborn. But his son was almost 5 minutes without oxygen, and he turned angry in the delivery room and wanted to punch the windows. But they brought him back to life, and he's 6 now. Does he have some health problems? Yes, my grandson does, and they told us he would. But when he came also and seen my dad, his grandpa, he walked in the room and turned red and angry and wanted to punch the walls. That's his way of dealing with like trauma. But then he masks it for something else. He'll like throw himself into work. I'm outside if you guys hear cars. Sorry.
You
You're
told
good.
us she's going to be sitting on the back of your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, either that or the swing. But if I go up by the swing, then the dogs will be barking and you won't be able to hear me. So, but I'm sorry, Tim, that you've had to go through all that. But like, even with me, I took care of my mom when she was dying with her cancer. I zipped her up in the morgue bag. I gave her last bath. I did the same thing with my dad too. And my son said, I don't know how you do it, Mom. And I said, it's just me. And I do social work. I do all that now. I've worked my way up the ladder. No, I'm not right now because of what I'm going through. And you all know that. I'm not going to get into details, but it is what it is. I'll return. I have faith, I hope. But,
No,
it's,
there is no I hope, Mandy.
I know. Okay.
You
Go
will
ahead.
return.
Thank you. But it's, Desiree, I'm sorry about your grandma. I just seen that message. And tell your mom I'm sorry too. But it's hard when, you go through any kind of stages with all of this because you can Google it, you can look books. Not everybody goes through it right now. Like not everybody goes through like the loneliness, the acceptance, the loss, the denial, the anger, and I'm just naming off some that I can think of. But
The big one
It
is
is hard.
anger. I think the big one is anger. A lot of people don't realize that anger is a stage of grief and resentment, and it becomes a cycle. And um, I think too, Mandy, and I know you and I are in the same field, that we see people are continuously in a cycle of grief. All of us, somewhere,
absolutely.
some way down the line, all of us are somewhere in a stage of grief every day. And it's just where in that stage of grief, with what part of our life we're in that stage of grief. All of us are in some sort of grief every single day. And I don't think people realize that.
Grief is also a mental illness.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't realize that too. And Dia, you are absolutely right with everything you said. Um, Me being in social work and having hospice come in, I have a hard time with that
Mhm.
because the families don't understand sometimes exactly what they're doing.
Mhm.
And in my state is completely different than the next state to me. So like not all states, their hospice, is like the same protocol. And it just amazes me. It baffles me. And that's why I chose to do what I did with my parents. Did I ever think I'd already not have my parents and a husband and grandparents and great? No, not in a million years. I don't think any of us do.
Mm.
I just had a friend get killed. Well, I'm not supposed to say that on here. On a motorcycle accident recently. And I'm just, the weather's warming up and it's, that's another thing, how do you help people in situations with grief? How, I think that's something we all need to learn. How to help. Do we help? Do we back away? because we all feel completely different in our lives.
Well, I think what you just said, that last part, is what the key is. In order to help somebody, you have to realize they're different. What you require is not something necessarily what something they're going to require. I've always just lived by this. Is I always tell somebody, I'm most definitely sorry for what you're going through. You tell me what you need from me. Um, if there's something you need from me, you let me know what it is. I try to avoid always. Sometimes it's just a reflex to tell somebody, hey, I know how you feel, but no, I don't. I don't know how you feel. Even if it's something that's similar situation I've been through, I still don't know how you feel because you don't feel the way I feel. So I try as much, and like I said, I love the way you said that, Mandy. Is the fact that we don't know how someone truly feels, and it's virtually impossible to know. Even if someone tells you 100% how they feel, what they're going through, it still may not resonate with you because you may not be on that same level at that point in time. So I just, I know for me, I I don't deal with grief very well. Um, and when I say I don't deal with it very well, I don't deal with it at all. I've had a lot of trouble with that. The only emotion I'm usually really good at I'm either really happy or I'm really angry. Um, I'm rarely sad. And I
I'd be
contribute a
happy if
lot
you
to
had
it.
the wig on tonight. Just saying.
I know I was going to dig it out and I forgot to.
Sorry, I had to say that real quick.
You should have reminded me. I'd have grabbed it. Um, but
Squirrel.
yeah, I know. But I'm either really angry or really um happy. I'm rarely sad, and I like I said, I've attributed that a lot to my military. I didn't have time to be. You know, we were losing people left and right all around us. I didn't have time to process that part of it, and in not doing so, I've held on to a lot of stuff that happened when I was in the military that I'm still kind of trying to work through now, even with my behavioral health therapist that I go see through the VA. It's tough, and at times I just feel so stuck, like we've all said before, in just being in that cycle. I do want to mention a comment that uh, I want to say it was Amber that made over on TikTok, on the Tiki
Are you
Talk.
talking about I grieve the life I could have had, but because of fear, I probably won't ever have it?
Yeah, it was that one, and I thought she had another one. I just want to see that one, but yes, that one definitely.
Well, Angel had one that said, I live in a constant stage of anticipatory grief.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, Angel. Um, Here's what we're gonna do. Let's take a quick commercial break. Um, Give everybody a break, or just a few. Um, let's take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we'll get a little bit more into this, and we'll try to move on a little further in this. So we'll be right back with more of the Birdman Show. You already know who I am. But if you don't, I'm the Birdman from the Birdman Show. That's my man, Main Ace, main. My main. Anyways, we are from the Birdman Show. If you've never watched the show, this is a common occurrence. Okay, so don't even trip on it. But we want to take the time to let you guys know that the Birdman Show is brought to you by Restream. Now, with Restream, you can create high quality audio and video content for your podcast. Right. They just want to tell them a little bit more.
Now, with Restream, what you get is
You doing
you
okay,
get
Tim? You
superior
look like you're
listening
struggling.
with crystal clear audio. Now, you can eliminate the audio drift, and you don't have to worry about connectivity. I mean, there's so much more, but these are just a few of the things that we want to pinpoint. With Restream, the simple and powerful podcast studio, you can easily create your own podcast, and it's effortless.
And I also want to add that you can connect up to 8 different channels. So like we stream on YouTube, we got Twitch, we're working on TikTok. See that. But we're working on TikTok. You can stream to all kind of different platforms. Get your podcast out there. So head on over to restream.io to start your free account and get to podcast and holla at your boys.
Or I mean, they could always just not create their own.
Or you can create your own, but in between times, come watch ours.
Yeah.
So we want you to do your thing.
But don't forget about us.
Yes, come watch us. Okay. So definitely come watch us every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Time, right over on our YouTube channel at Birdman Show Podcast 9643 or over on Twitch at Birdman 143. We'll see y'all later. We out. That only took like 500 times.
Hit me. All the chronic in the world can even message you.
What? Oh Lord, jeez. What is up, everybody?
Damn, that's a long commercial.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I did not realize it was that long. I don't know why. I don't know why I've never noticed it was that long.
It's okay. I had to say that. I'm like, geez, I could have went and got a drink, come back out, and
I guess. Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, anyways, welcome back to the Birdman Show. I am the Birdman. We got Deathlight joining us. We got Ace. We got Hydro. We got Mandy. We've got we had Lady Phoenix. We got Miss D. Is she having a problem with her signal, or do anybody know?
I have no idea. I haven't heard from her.
Well, we'll figure it out. I know she popped out and then popped back in during that commercial, and then I guess she got popped back out. So maybe she's having some issues with her Wi-Fi or something. Hopefully she can get back in. But yeah, we're doing something.
Can I say something real quick? I just want to send everybody like virtual hugs. Like seriously, like, because I think we're all battling and struggling in our life, and we just don't know how to cope right now. Just various reasons. I just want to send everybody a hug. That's all.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I'm struggling the most with. Yes, this grief part of it is it's tough. But what I have realized is that this grief part has honestly been a big issue with the other 3 parts that we're going to be talking about. Because I never dealt with, on my end, I've never dealt with the type of grief that I was dealing with, and it has caused issues with the other 3 parts: blended family, co-parenting, being an absent parent. And I never really honestly fully realized that. And it's tough. Because what it does is it causes more grief, because you start realizing, at least I did, of how many mistakes I've made over the years. On my end, how many problems I caused. And even though that was never your intention, you were in such a state of grief that you were 100% oblivious to everything that was going on. And like I said, once again, and I think it was Miss D that said it, you're constantly in a state of grief, because I think Ace was the one who brought this part up, was the fact that you start grieving who you used to be.
I agree with that.
It's hard for you to get back because you start realizing, technically, I'm never going to get back to that person, and I have to try to figure out how to deal with this, how to become a better person moving forward. You're about to say something, Mandy?
I don't remember what I just said, to be honest. I will say this. A lot of people don't understand. you can grieve until you pass, like you physically leave this earth. Like some
So that
people
makes
never get over
thanks
grief.
a lot.
What'd you say?
So that makes me feel better. Thanks a lot.
Well, no, it's just it's true though. It's true. Like I watched my grandma like grieve after my grandpa passed. She would literally go to the cemetery and lay there, and I just that still like haunts me in a way. But like she missed him so much, like they did everything together. Like she grieved herself to where she eventually passed. And it's sad, but it happens. You know, just like if a dog passes and you have another dog, your animals grieve too, not just humans.
Yeah, I've seen those videos.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I've watched it. I've watched my animals because I have enough of them to, see it happen. But yeah, but it does happen, or they grieve. Like even in if you get a blended family, and let's say, or you marry into another family, and one kid goes off to college, one kid moves out, they grieve the loss of them too,
Mhm.
just like as parents do. I
Yeah.
was devastated when my kids left. Was I glad? Yes, but I was broken.
No, no, I understand that. I definitely agree with that.
yeah.
Um,
If it's all right, Tim, I just want to add on to that real quick.
go for it.
When when you say that people can grieve until the day they pass, to add on to we're constantly in a state of grief, including the state of grief of acceptance of grief. Again, I believe we're constantly somewhere within those 22 stages, from the time that we start the grieving process, whether it's sparked from a loss of uh, a loved one, or an animal, or an illness, wherever it starts from, until the day we do finally pass, we're somewhere within the stage of grief. Now, with that being said, I want to also say, for us to move on, and I use the air quotes for that because we never truly move on from it. But I want to normalize recognizing that in other people. And like you said, we can't tell somebody else how to grieve, but normalizing asking, how can I support you where you are? Giving that support, but also remembering that that support can change with each stage. So, how you support somebody today may not be the same support they need a week from now, a month from now, 5 years from now. But if you're willing to support somebody through their stages of grief, understand that that's going to constantly change as well, just as normalize asking for help or receiving the same kinds of support.
I've got one of my best friends who she grieves the loss of her husband. It was a sudden illness, didn't see it coming, and she has even kept herself from moving forward because she feels like she is letting him down.
Mhm.
She questions everything that she does on a daily basis and wonders, is this what he would want me to do? And
Yep.
this has been 10 years.
hmm and
So
people can get stuck in those cycles for a long time, a long time.
I'll add on to what Ace said. I've tried dating like since my husband's passed, and mm, it's been mediocre. Like I don't know, not looking, not interested, single as F right now, and I'm okay with that. But when you have someone that you try to date and they tell you not to grieve, or you shouldn't grieve, or why are you grieving, or why do you remember dates people pass? Are we not human?
right.
I was
I
told a year
mean,
after my son passed away, "Oh, well, he was just a baby. Why don't you get over it?" Yep.
that I think is like some of the harshest words people can say. And I'm just going to say for women, the loss of a
Mhm.
child or a miscarriage or things like that, or even for a man as well, if they lose their child.
Mhm.
But like, just a loss is a loss. And, it can be related to grief. It can be related to trauma. It can be related to so many different avenues.
Mhm.
But when
And
you
there's
try to
no
get into,
expiration on it.
There's
no, there's
not.
not. And when
There
you try to
there
get in,
is no
go ahead.
timetable on how long it's going to take you to grieve over something that has happened.
Or from one stage to the next.
Exactly. Just because my brother is able to get over the loss of our father, this is something that happened whenever I was a baby, so I'm just using it as an example.
Mhm.
Just because he's able to get over the loss of my father easier than what I was doesn't mean that my grief process should be the same as his. Welcome back.
I don't know what the hell just happened.
That was a long ass commercial you took, woman.
I know.
I guess your phone was grieving.
No, it's my tablet, apparently.
Oh, your tablet was grieving. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ace.
You're okay. I did want to, Carrie. I love you dearly. You are like a sister to me. I know that you are struggling right now, but I do want to touch base on your comment. Her comment is, it's so difficult to heal or move forward when closure never happened. You feel stuck in the cycle. Um,
That's 100%.
that can go in many different directions. That can be from a relationship standpoint. That can be from the loss of a family member, loved one. Um, I'll be perfectly honest with everybody. I love my TikTok family. I created you guys as a crutch. You guys were my crutch. Me doing what I did for you guys helped me not think about what I was going through until it got to the point where I had to focus on me. And that's when I took my break because I had to take that time for myself. I don't look at it as I used you guys because I care about every single one of you. I've been a part of so many of your guys' lives for the past 3.5 years. D, I know what you and Jeff have gone through. Carrie, we've met. I know what you deal with on a daily basis. Mandy, I know more intimate details about you than what most people that know you do.
You're right.
It's a family
Well,
bond.
yeah, we have a trusting relationship. Like I know I can talk to you and you won't judge me.
Absolutely not. Likewise.
And I think in all this that we're talking about, a lot of people cast judgment on
No,
people for the
I'm your
wrong
TikTok
reasons.
god. Sorry. But
No, you're fine.
what I was going to say about your comment, Carrie, is closure is always nice to get, but it's typically the one thing that you'll never find. I know you are a strong person. I know that you have a very strong will. it has to come from within you. I think I know which scenario we are discussing. Do I?
I mean, it applies to more than one, but yeah.
Okay. Um, you've got a very good support system around you. You know that any one of us would be there for you in a heartbeat. And I would say lean on us, but we can't be your crutch. You have to be able to find the strength from within yourself, and we will stand there next to you and help you take those steps towards healing. There is no concrete answer on getting to where you need to be.
Oh, and healing isn't linear.
No, it's not. It's a fucking Geiger counter. And absolutely, Hydro. We're here. I know that everybody right now that is on here is struggling. I'm not going to guess. I know, because I can feel everybody's energy. Tim, I love you, brother.
Yeah, I love you.
Just so everybody knows, this section of the podcast was only supposed to last 30 minutes. We didn't make it.
That worked out.
I've always been the one to hide my emotions. I've got somebody in this podcast right now that can vouch for that. Whenever it came to me showing my emotions, it was usually anger. I was, like Tim said, I was either extremely happy or extremely mad. If I was neither, then you would find me over in a corner somewhere sticking to myself. I would seclude myself. I would make up fictitious scenarios to make myself feel better about not being around anyone. Because I did not, the term I always use was, I don't feel like peopling today. I did not want to be around people, because if I was around people, there's probably a good chance that I'm going to get pissed off. And that's not good for anyone. And absolutely, DK, it's easy to mask your emotions with humor. I mean, like Tim said earlier, he always made sure that he was the laugh of the party. And that's how I was too for the longest time, until I couldn't stop it, D. I'm trying to talk. And I'm not going to be able to get through it if you keep doing that. Until I got to the part in my life where I wasn't able to continue to put that smile on my face. And then everything just pissed me off. everything became a trigger. And as much as I hate to say it, it was my daughter. My youngest daughter was my biggest trigger. And it didn't matter what she did. I took a lot of my anger out on her. I can apologize for it today. I can scream it until I'm blue in the face. How remorseful I am for what I put her through. That's not going to change the fact that she wants nothing to do with me. She's still holding on to what I did, not who I am today. And that's something that I have to grieve over every day. I've lost all of my kids because of who I am.
So basically, your daughter's grieving you.
Yes.
But not in a healthy way.
No. She hates me. My youngest daughter literally wants nothing to do with me. My oldest daughter, she works at a gas station that I frequent. I'm just another customer to her. She wants nothing to do with me because I wasn't there for her through her entire life. My grief on that is she's not giving me the opportunity to tell my side of the story. But that's okay. I will carry that. My only son, at 2 years old, I signed over my rights to him because I was on drugs. And I thought that was the best thing for him at the time. Give him a better life than what I could provide for him at the time. So 2 of my kids choose not to have anything to do with me. I gave one of them away, and I barely talked to my 4th one. So my grief, the majority of my grief is for my kids, because that's a constant that's there every day.
Yeah, and it's something to really, it's something that's very difficult to deal with. And I think from this we can kind of transition over into um a couple of other. Um Now I think it's a perfect way to transition over into absent parents, because I think in this situation there's a lot of absent parents that are created because of grief. Um, yes, there are definitely circumstances, situations where you have one parent that just doesn't want anything to do with the children, with the child, whatever, um, and they're gone. Um, a lot of cases, it's one parent doesn't have anything to do with the other parent, and no matter what they do, it's just unfortunately the kids are the ones that have to pay for it. Um, d- Talking about this, and we're gonna kind of do the exact same thing. I want to transition away from the whole grief thing, at least that part of it, just because that's not. It's just something that there is no end to it. It's a great discussion. I wouldn't even mind just doing a separate episode just dealing with grief, and giving its just due. Uh, but I think that'd be something that we need to definitely do a little bit more preparation for. Um,
Write that down, Ace, on your list.
oh, we've already talked about it. And we've already talked about like even the other three topics, the blended families, co-parenting, absent parents, even those can be their own separate episodes. So these are tough in this sense. Um, and to go along with what Ace was talking about, with his children, it's it's tough being a parent. I don't care, mother, father. It's tough. Um,
Even if you're a step parent too,
yeah,
or a bonus parent.
parent is a parent. Yeah, parent is a parent. Doesn't matter. A parent is a parent. And it's tough. It's tough if it's tough if especially one of the parents is dealing with, or I should say, not dealing with grief that's in their life that is a pretty much crippled them majority of their life, and they don't understand or know how to pull themselves out of that hole. It's tough because if you're anything like I was, and still am to an extent, you never want your children to see how bad you are. You never want to put them in a situation to where, like I was dealing in one of the stages of grief, I wanted to talk about was absent grief. And if you don't know what absent grief is, it's grief that occurs when there is little or no visible reaction to loss. The individual may not show any outward signs of grief, leading others to think that they aren't affected by the loss. However, the emotions may be suppressed and can resurface unexpectedly. That was a lot of my grief. That if people thought that when something bad happened and I showed little to no emotion, that I was never affected by it. But it would manifest itself in other ways that were very bad. Um, and that's the level I got to. Um, and knowing that was not something I ever wanted to ever put my children in a situation like that. Now, in a lot of my cases, some of my grief was caused by the other person in the relationship. And the thing about it is, would you, if you're causing the grief, whether you're causing the grief or you're a recipient of the grief, if there's no acknowledgement of it, that is almost a worse cycle to be in.
You
When
then go
something is not,
into emotional
you said
grief.
what?
You go into like psychological, mental, emotional grief if you don't have the support from the other person.
100. And what people don't tend to realize is that when you don't acknowledge something, I mean, that's the first step they say. One of the first steps they say when you go into a substance abuse training, or you're going through rehab or something, is acknowledge the problem. Acknowledge there's a problem. And before you can fix a problem, you have to acknowledge that there is a problem. If that other person, whether it's the mother, the father, boyfriend, girl, whoever it is, husband, wife, if that other person fails to ever acknowledge the problem or that there is a problem, then you, as a person who feels like you've been the one that's been wrong, are forever grieving that. You're every single day you wake up, you're living that nightmare over and over again. When children are involved in the situation, then that other parent is typically normally taking that child away from the other parent. Which means now, the one thing, and I can say it for myself, one thing that kept me going for so many years, especially when I was in the military, was my children. And that is taken away from me as well. That's a whole different level of grief that I never acknowledged. Sometimes absent parents are created. It's not always the simple fact that it's just the one parent that doesn't want to be there or this and that. Sometimes they're created by the other parent. Never acknowledged. That being said, I almost no, maybe I don't know. We'll find out.
Can I piggy off of what you said real quick?
Go 100%. Go ahead.
With the absent parent, it also can set a person into a deep depression. And some people don't understand that they're actually depressed. You know, or they're grieving, they're mourning, or they're sick, or they're, you know, whatever the case could be. But that absent parent can even just not even have the support, just be solo and lock themselves inside because of all the trauma they're going through, because they don't want to hurt their loved ones around them, because they could simply say the wrong thing, bring up a subject, and it turns into a fight, an argument, whatever the case be. Because when you're dealing with trauma, that affects your family and friends no matter what. My opinion, personally.
I got to hear from Miss D.
I gotta be quiet. Here come the deer.
Here come the deer.
Sorry. Oh yeah, there's 8 of them. They come to the front field every night and they eat.
So I need to ask you something, Miss D.
Absolutely.
In hearing this, number one, what are your thoughts on that? Let's start with that.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts, more from a personal perspective with the absentee parent. Um, I fall into almost all of the categories tonight. Um, I found going through the grief with, losing my son. Now, mind you, loss begets loss. Um, my biological father left when I was a baby. Um, so I never knew my biological father. Had an abusive stepfather. Now, mind you, that is not my dad who's in my life today. Came into my life when I was 11. Absolutely outstanding man. Loved me when I was unlovable and has never wavered. Um, but when I lost my son, I self medicated, fell into addiction. I became the absentee parent for quite a while I was going through those stages of grief. And my parents stepped up and took care of my surviving child while my ex husband and I were dealing with everything the best we could. I mean, I was 23 years old dealing with the loss of a child and still having a toddler at home. Um, Not saying that that's any better or an excuse for anything, but he said I became the absentee parent at that point. Um, was able to recover from my addictions. I clawed my way out of um, that, is as hard as that was. And then becoming a, you know, co-parenting with my ex-husband to our surviving child, and then becoming a blended family with um because we don't talk about my second husband. That's another another day for another story for another day. But then becoming a blended family with Jeff, and then having our youngest together. I mean, so like I said, I fall under all of the categories. Um, but I definitely think they blend together. And these are all stages of life that typically people who undergo such loss in their life, that's where you see the absentee parents, the co-parents, where you see broken families. Because people who don't see that kind of loss in their life, the nuclear families stay bonded. Fortunately, with the way the world goes now, you don't see the nuclear families staying bonded as often. So you do see more of your absentee parents, you do see more of your co-parenting, and you do see more of your blended families than you have ever before.
I think, and it's just me thinking. I think a lot of the reason why that is because of the fact that there's one key thing that is missing in most all families, and of course, in a lot of relationships, and that's communication.
Mhm.
And the thing about communication, there's a funny thing, Miss D. There's a funny thing about this word, this nasty word, communication. It's a very nasty word, mind you. Um, it only works two ways, and the two ways is you're communicating yourself, and then the other way is that you're listening, actively listening to the communication. Um, and I think a lot of times what happens is like Miss D, you and I could be having a conversation. We're having, great debate about something. We both were passionate about this. And I'm trying to tell you to get my point across, but instead of you actually actively listening, you're just listening to key things in there to where you can come back with a rebuttal. You're only picking out the certain things that stick out to you, and you're waiting to the time to where you can get your point across.
Mhm.
Meaning that whole time that we've talked, you never listened to one word I've said, and I probably have not listened to one word you've said.
Exactly, Carrie.
Yes, 100%. And the thing is, the problem with that, and I can say this 100%, and I'm talking about my past relationships, marriages, everything. There's been many of times, especially when I started going on my journey of trying to figure out what was going on with me, there's been many times I have told my past partners, I have laid out every single thing that was going on with me, 100%, and telling them, hey, I still don't understand if this is what's going on. And in every single one of those cases, every single one of those cases, it wasn't a response to, well, you know what, I don't understand what you're going through, but we can figure this out. It was a rebuttal to something else I had said in the conversation. It had really little merit to anything else that I was saying. That whole time that I was spilling out what was going on with me, and looking for the one time for someone to tell me, hey, I didn't realize you were going through all that. I didn't realize that that was affecting you so much to the point where you were struggling to deal with me. You were struggling to deal with, anything that was going on with the kids, or you were struggling that much. I did not realize that. Let's try to figure this out together. It became, but this is how I feel. And I get that. There are two sides in every relationship. There's your side, and then there's their side. I get that. But when it comes to mental health, when it comes to the emotional health, when it comes to all these things we're talking about, if someone is broken in any one of those areas, it is almost at that point in time virtually impossible for them to be anything that you need them to be. At that point in time, that's when you have to tell yourself, and I know I've gotten myself to that point, but at some point you got to tell yourself, I've got to put myself aside, and I've got to do whatever I can to help my partner, who's supposed to be a partner. I use that term very loosely nowadays, but I have to be there to help my partner get back to where I need them to be. If I know that this is a strong man, if I know this is a strong woman, if I know that when this person that I'm with is 100%, at their best, they're engaged, and I know that when they're there, they are just phenomenal. Why wouldn't I take the time to put myself aside to make sure that they're good? Especially knowing that when I'm down, they're gonna pick me up. And I think a lot of times we get so wrapped up in ourselves. We get so wrapped up in our grief that we forget that someone else is grieving. Someone else is also going through stuff. And let's be honest, people, I don't care who you are. If I don't care if you're with somebody right now, I guarantee you have not told them 100% about everything in your life or everything you've been through. We like to say that, oh, my partner knows everything about me. Yeah, let's just be for real for once. You don't tell your partner everything. You don't. Because there's sometimes you're like, I don't want to tell her this, or I don't want to tell him that because I don't want them hurting. I don't want them to, even though I may be okay, I don't want them to get to a point where they're upset or they start grieving because they feel like they weren't there for me. And I've been there. I've done that. I've had that happen in relationships where I've had a significant other has done to me, where she tells me about something she was going through, or she went through, or something like that. And then I get mad because why didn't you tell me what was going on? Because now I'm mad because I feel like maybe I'm not doing my job and I'm not there for her. So now I get upset, and I definitely I'm not upset. I'm actually grieving the fact that I wasn't able to be there for her.
Yeah, but some demons are meant to be fought alone and never, be brought to light.
I agree with you because trust me, I got a whole UFC card of demons that I fight. That I don't ever want Des to know about. But at some point in time, I agree with you. But at some point in time, there are sometimes we need to, because we tend to forget, we get tired, we get worn out. Andy brought up depression. That stuff weighs on you so much. And if you're not careful, if you're like me, anything like me, I may do a very good job of fighting them off and holding them at bay and maybe not letting Des know or anybody else know. But that moment I get that deep sleep is the moment she knows when I'm actually really going through something. Because my dreams, anything I'm going through at that point in time, it comes out in my dreams. And I've, over the years, ever since I can remember, probably since 6 or 7 years old, I've had dreams about different things, certain events, and then those things happening in my life. There was an incident, my very first deployment, 3 months before we deployed. I dreamt about an incident that happened. I'm walking through the battlefield. Humvees are blown up, bodies are laying all over the place, and I had that dream, and I heard the people's voices that were talking to me. And the messed up part about it was when that actually happened, all the voices that I heard speaking to me in my dream were all the people that were killed in that instant. So everyone in that dream that I talked to were the people that were unalive when it actually happened. And that shook me. And I've had that happen to me more than one occasion, even before I got in the military. It's happened to me very recently. And sometimes that's the reason why and I'm gonna be honest, and I've never told Des that. I've never told anybody else. That's sometimes the reason why I don't sleep. Sometimes it's not because of things I've gone through, it's because I don't want to have dreams, visions, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to have them. Because sometimes they do tend to happen. Maybe not in that same way they happen in the dream, but I can remember parts of it when that event happens, and I don't want to sleep. It just freaking kills me. Lady Phoenix,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this? Absent parents.
Well, I mean, luckily enough, I mean, I had my biological father until my mom and him divorced when I was 1, and then he passed away when I was 7, but I don't remember him. But when I was 3, my stepfather adopted me, legally adopted me. And so I had basically 2 parents. But on top of, to piggyback off of that, back to the grief, I've lost 2 fathers. So, and that right there kills my mom. Like sorry, I can't say that, but it tears my mom apart knowing that I lost not 1 father, but 2.
That's tough. That's
Yeah. And then when her and my stepdad separated, he kind of, I don't want to say disowned me, but he had more to do with my brother than myself until I had my first son, until I got pregnant. And then he wanted to be granddaddy of the year.
I'm not going to speak for him. But I will say this: sometimes, even as a step parent, it's more difficult to be a step parent for a daughter than it is for I'll say a stepfather than it is for a son, because I don't
But
care who.
I understand that, but he legally adopted me. Like, that was my father from the age of almost 3.
Yeah,
So I was a toddler, basically an infant. Not an infant, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah. Get what I'm about to say though.
He
When I say
raised me.
it's difficult, I don't care if it's a biological daughter or if it's a stepdaughter. Fathers go absolutely
Stupid.
crazy over their daughters, and to have not to have that to be part of that on a regular basis, and I'm speaking 100% for myself, it's almost like ripping a piece of your heart out every single day.
But he
Some
did have
react,
that.
uh, huh?
But he did have that.
What I'm saying is, it, this is where it. I'll try to break it down as much as I can.
Okay.
The reason why I say it's difficult, because for any father, to be in a relationship with the mother and then the relationship doesn't work out, and not to be able to be in part of their children's lives is tough. And that's for any parent, no matter if it's father, if the father gets the kids, which 90% of the time that doesn't happen. But if the father was to get the kids, then the mother tends to go through the same types of emotions and stuff like that. But this typically happens to fathers. And the mothers typically get the children. And the thing is that as a child, we honestly don't 100% know why the parents split up. We may see things here and there, but
But
we
I was
don't.
18 when my parents split up, so I know why they split up. But then he was absent for 4 years.
Yeah,
And then as soon as he found out I was pregnant with Tyler, oh my gosh, him and his new wife, and they wanted, they were like flies
like I
on
said,
poo.
I get it. But even though you may think you know 100%, you still don't know what happened behind closed doors. You don't know the conversations. Like, I can sit there and say, well, not me. My parents are still together. Um, and even though they've argued in front of my brother and I before, I still don't know all their conversations they have whenever we're not around. I still don't know the whole ins and outs of everything that goes on in the relationship. And I've had to counsel young men and young women before on this very topic, and they all have said that they know they'll when their parents split. Well, I know exactly why my parents split up, and they tell me all why the reason why their parents split up. I talked to the parents, and that wasn't actually the case. Just like in a relationship, you may not tell everything to your partner about yourself or what you're going through, and your partner might not do the same thing. Parents are way worse when it comes to their children. Sometimes parents will allow their children to think one thing because it may eventually save the image of both parents or at least one parent, to where sometimes it's like, well, like me as a parent, when it comes to my children, I would much rather, as messed up as it sounds, I would much rather my children think of me as a monster in a situation versus their mother, because I've been a monster. Never to my children or their mothers, but I've been a monster in real life, and I've viewed myself as that. So I'm okay with that. But I would never want my children to think of their mothers in any type of negative light, even though that may be what it is in real life. But I still wouldn't want them to. I still wouldn't want them to view her that way. So, like I said, I get it. Like I'm. You may know everything about it, and I mean that's great. Like I said, I can't speak on it, but I know for a father, no matter what's going on with my kids, even if I haven't seen them or what the situation is, especially if they don't have children, I would love to be a part of their life. Yes, I would love to be part of their lives, but sometimes, and like I say, sometimes the mothers are the reason why the father is not really part of that life of their life in that situation. And it goes both ways. I'm not just saying it goes both freaking ways.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out in the open.
Yeah.
It goes both ways, but sometimes, like I said, the reason why there is an absent parent is because the other parent has created that situation. So I hate the fact that is even remotely a reason. I would like to say it's just because either it's the father that just doesn't want to have anything to do with the children. And trust me, and you two above all people know of a situation going on where that's an issue. Um, and sometimes as a parent or in this case, grandparents, you have to step in and say you're not doing anything with this child because you're just incapable of being a parent.
Yeah.
And that is a real thing. There are some people, as crazy as it sounds, Ace, as crazy as it sounds, Lady Phoenix, as crazy as it sounds, Death Flight, Mandy, Mama D, as crazy as it sounds, just because you have a child does
Does
not
not
make a mother, and it sure as heck don't make you a father.
exactly.
I am sick and tired. I love all my mothers out there. I love all you ladies, you know what I'm saying? Y'all have children. I love all my mothers out there. I'm sick and tired of hearing this narrative that women are the only ones that can properly nurture and raise a child. I'm tired of hearing that
Mm.
because it is 100% false that you're the only ones that can do that. 100% false. Because I know way too many women who probably should have somebody come into their house and taking the children out of their house because they are nowhere near remotely worthy of the title of mother. They do nothing
You
for their children
you have
except
no idea
use
how
them,
much I agree with that statement.
I agree with that too.
but they use their children as cash cows to get
Hmm.
money from the fathers or
It's
from the
leverage.
leverage, even better word. That's
Yep.
what they use
Cannon
their
fodder.
children for.
A
Mom
what?
D, I hear you. I hear you chomping the bit. Go ahead and jump in there.
A lot of times it's cannon fodder.
By the time is what?
Cannon
They,
fire.
cannon
Oh,
fodder. Children are used as pawns
Yeah.
in whatever game is being played.
mm,
And
Especially
that's
if
why
the
all
other
these
person is controlling.
yeah, and that's why all these
mm.
kids these days have issues. Like, I mean, they're just defiant and like you see what I'm saying? They're out running the streets, doing whatever. You know, mom or dad, whoever has, you know, primary custody of them is just letting them do whatever.
Yeah.
And then they
I
wonder why their
personally,
kid's an asshole.
And it's not just the kids are allowed to do whatever at one particular parent's house. Children aren't always given the credit that they deserve. A lot of times children are very intelligent and manipulative to their situation where they can play it off of one or the other. And if there's a lack of communication between the two parents, that they're not co-parenting well, or that there's a breakdown somewhere, and or there's an absentee parent, those kids have learned to manipulate their situation, um, to benefit them, and that's where your sense of entitlement comes from.
Now,
Well,
Miss
see,
D, I'm,
oh,
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna let you get in there, Lady Phoenix. I'm gonna tell you right now, ma'am. Okay,
Mm.
you're gonna stop using that nasty word communication. Okay, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna stop using
I
that
said
nasty
lack
word.
of communication.
Well, the fact that you even used it to begin with to insinuate anything, ma'am, that's what you're not gonna do.
Sorry,
Um,
my bad.
it's okay. It's okay. What are you gonna say, Lady Phoenix?
well, like when Ace and I got together and he had custody of Nikki and I became stepmom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Him and I, we made, and Brian, you can vouch for me here. We made a pact with Nikki and both my boys because he's stepping in to a household that had two, um, you know, two boys. So we made a pact between him and I. Okay, these kids are gonna try to run us off the rails here,
Mm-hmm.
especially the two older ones, and they're gonna try to push our buttons. And for the most part, we did come together as a team when it came to the kids.
Yeah, 100%. Um,
I personally think in today's society, parents shove phones, video games, tablets in kids' faces to shut them up because they don't want to deal with them. And I think it's
And,
wrong.
and see, we none of our kids had phones.
My youngest, he didn't get a phone till he was almost 16. I had a
Mm-hmm.
landline in the house if he needed
Yeah,
something. Um,
yeah.
we didn't have a video game system. My mom actually bought my oldest the first system. I refused to buy them a system. I did gift cards and games at Christmas. I mean, I won't deny that, but like they were limited. But today, it just amazes me. Like when you're out and about and you see, like, I have a lot of appointments, okay, and I see parents with a toddler, 2, 3 years old, glued to a tablet. I
Uh-huh.
get it. Sometimes it's good to have those things, but
mhm.
I don't think that I think they need to go back to the ethics maybe that we were raised in a way.
I agree.
A
And
good
listen,
old swat on
it,
the.
yeah, that definitely needs to start happening. And I get it. I agree with both. I agree with that 100%. Sometimes it's convenient because sometimes you're trying to do something and they're screaming or they're trying to run around and you say, you know what, boom, let me just pull this out. And sometimes we even try to fall on the crutch of, well, what I am having them watch is educational stuff, which is good, but it's not as good as the hands-on. It's not as good as the whole being able to just go out and experience life and do some other things with them and this and that. And it's easy to fall into that. Um, Guilty, 100%. Not even gonna lie. Guilty. But with that little tyrant we got out there, um,
You
hey,
need
we
a
just
break
try to
from
put the
her.
monster in the cage. That's all we try to do. Okay, that child, Lord, baby Jesus, I need all your prayers. I need I need your prayers, your love. I need as much holy water as you can send me.
I can
Um,
send you some. I can get it from a doctor.
hey,
Absolutely.
I need holy water. I'm thinking about just going to get a couple of gallons, take it by my parents' house, see if they can bless it for me. But now I get it, and that can cause an issue and some things on that. Um, um, yeah. Um,
And Tim, I
Good
might
Lord.
be a minister, but I don't have the power to bless that kind of holy water. Just so you know, I
Uh,
You're
know what it's
exceeding
like
her
to
yeah,
have
if
quantity.
little
it's
ones.
Catholic church, I could just have them bring me back up a swimming pool full of it. Put it in the backyard and just throw her in there every couple hours. But anyways,
Get you a fire hydrant in front of the house.
yeah. Have them bless
I
it as it
agree
comes
with what Des said on in the messages completely.
Mhm.
That would be this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see the TikTok ones right now because my tablet was dead. So sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
isn't
You're fine
much
up.
chatter over on TikTok
You said
right
what?
now.
Okay.
There's not much chatter on TikTok right now.
Yeah, I noticed. And hopefully everybody's doing okay over there. I know we hit some pretty heavy topics, especially the grief one. And we didn't even come close to scratching the surface of that topic. Uh, I am not anywhere in any way, shape, or form opposed to just doing a separate episode on grief a little bit down the road. Um, but that one was just as much as I prepared for it, wasn't prepared for it. Hopefully that makes sense. Because you can do all the research and pull up things. I got some great notes here. You can do all that stuff as much as you want to, but it doesn't. There's nothing that can actually prepare you for not only what you're going to say, but what you're going to hear from other people, especially when doing a panel, or what you're going to see in the comments. And it 100%. And Ace and we had this talk. It 100% Ace played out exactly how I felt. I thought it was going to. With the fact that I even told him, yeah, I know we're gonna have some comments, whether it's gonna be on YouTube or it's gonna be on TikTok. We're gonna have comments from the people, and I just don't know how I can prepare for that. Even though knowing that, still, I got Mike
happened.
Tyson.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody has a plan to get hit in the mouth. And I feel like that's what the grief topic did to us.
But it
I
was a
am proud
really,
of
really,
everyone.
and it was a really great way to introduce the topic, to be able to break it down into smaller bite-sized segments later down the road.
Mhm.
Yeah, because like I said, this is we didn't even scratch the surface of it. Like I said, the research I did, I saw 16 stages of grief, and then Mandy came in and let us know, nah, bro, there's 22. I'm like, yeah, I'm listening. And more of them suckers. So yeah. So even with that, like I said, the one that really it hurt me was when I read number 12 on that list, which was absent grief. That hurt me. Because that described that part. But I don't think that the 16 I looked at, I think I fall in at least 9 to 10 of them that I've been experiencing over the last 22 plus years. So yeah, that hurt. Um,
I am proud of everybody like opening up and their messages that I can see on YouTube and what you guys have like conveyed, what other people have said. I know it's a hard topic for everyone.
yeah, and like I said, I wasn't sharing like on screen, like the full message breakdown on YouTube within the studio. because I kind of wanted to avoid that whole what we were experiencing um with everybody else. I was kind of wanting to try to avoid that, um, and just pull off certain comments, acknowledge the comments, but pull off certain comments and share those. Um, my God, I did not realize it was after 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Des got to go to bed at 9. Hello.
Yeah. Good God, I'm so sorry, everyone. Um, wow,
I'm emotionally exhausted.
I feel like we did a 4 hour episode.
My
Just
energy is
blame it on the full
depleted.
moon coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I and I'm with you there, sis. Def Light, I'm right there with you. I feel like I got hit by several buses too. Um, I think we were all on the same metro line at this one. Um, and we didn't even, like I said, we barely scratched the surface on grief, and we were only able to really kind of really. I mean, we hit on the other topics, um, but we really didn't get the chance to really jump into it. So the recap ought to be fun. I will definitely say that the recap ought to be fun. Now, for my fellow co-hosts that are in here right now, for the recap, like I said, it's going to be right here in the studio. If you're going to be able to be part of that, all you have to do is just join with the same link. Um, it is. Uh, yeah, I feel you. I feel you, babe. I feel you. Um, it's going to be in the same. It's going to be the same studio link that you have now. So if you want to be part of the pot or part of the recap, all you have to do is join that link. I, I'm not saying you have to be part of the recap. That's 100% totally up to you. But you can definitely join if you want to tomorrow. So there's that. Um, we're gonna wrap this up because I can't take any more right now.
Can I say one
Um,
thing real quick?
yeah, we're about to get right now. So go ahead, since Mandy you spoke up. Go ahead and give any closing remarks that you have for the good people out there.
I just want to say that even in this panel, even on the people on TikTok, no matter what, like if you need to reach out to any one of us, anybody, just reach out. Like no matter what you're going through, reach out, try to talk to someone. And if you can't, journal. I recommend journaling. Write down your thoughts, express yourself because you've got to somehow get the demons, the trauma, the grief, the sorrow, the anger, whatever you're going through, you've got to get it out. But no matter what I'm going through, anybody can reach out to me. I may not respond right away because I've got a lot going on, but I'm here and I love y'all.
Out freaking standing. 100%. Miss D, go ahead and bless us.
So, along with what Mandy said, I am always available. I work nights, so if it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you got something going through your head, you need to reach out. Feel free. Facebook Messenger, TikTok, whatever. You can always reach out. I like to do frequent check-ins. You can ask Ace. I like to check in with him fairly often. Um, I you know, I don't know if it's with my husband being uh, a veteran. I like to call him my battle buddy check-ins.
There you go.
And I have a list of people that I do frequent check-ins. Just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. And again, to reiterate something that I said earlier is, what is the best way I can support you right now? What is something that I can do for you in this moment? I'm never afraid to ask that question if it's something that I am, physically, mentally capable of doing. Then I'm there for it. Um, but at the same time, if I cannot give it 100%, I will flat out say I don't have the capacity to do that at this moment. I'm not afraid to say that because I also have to protect my own mental health at the same time,
Miss D,
and
I'm
it's
gonna need you to
okay.
stop. I'm gonna need you to stop because you keep saying stuff and he's going to spark off more stuff. But that's 100% right. We also have to be big enough to say that, hey, at this point in time, I can't be that person for you right now. And you have to be a big enough person to be able to accept the fact that somebody cannot be there for you at that time because they are going through something. That's 100% important. And that's 100% them's bars you dropping there, Miss D. You dropping bars, but Eminem better watch out. You coming for that title.
But think about it though. Are you if you spread yourself so thin that you cannot be there for that person, you're gonna be more of a hindrance than you are a help. So what is the point other than hero syndrome?
Mm-hmm. What did I just tell you?
Sorry. My bad.
This lady. Oh,
I agree with her because I grew up in a military family. So my ex was in the Marines too. So, I mean, I agree with all of that.
yeah, my father's a Marine too. So trust me, I get it. My father's a Marine and a pastor. So trust me. Half the time I didn't know if I was gonna get choked out or prayed for. So it is what it is. Death Light. Do you have anything you want to say to good people before we get up out of here?
I want to say a special thank you to Mandy and Dee. Y'all both helped and broke my heart at the same time. Dropping truth bombs left and right. But yeah, thanks to everybody. I'm gonna go take a nap.
A nap? Go to bed.
It's too early to go to bed. If I go to bed now, I'm gonna wake up at 3 o'clock again. But yeah, I told you that grief was not gonna be 30 minutes.
I was trying.
No.
I read that and I was like, 5 minutes for each person. Like, what do you want to say? Hi, how are you? Bye.
My name's Jeff.
Like I said when I sent you guys the notes, I said now I have a lot of time because I realized that it is what it is. And as soon as we started, if you noticed, I pretty much threw my tablet to the side, and I abandoned all of the format. So that's the beautiful thing about being the host of the show. You can pretty much do what the heck you want to. It is what it is. But yes, love you, sis. You're gonna be okay. You are going to be okay.
Don't make me cry again, damn it. I just stopped.
I'm sorry, but that's what I do.
I told you, just blame it on the full moon. It's coming.
Yeah,
it affects you 3
I
days
promise.
before and 3 days after.
It's a harvest
And
blood moon too.
It's a full lunar eclipse too.
Yes, correct.
And it's a blood moon.
Yeah, look, no wonder everything's going crazy in my life.
Yeah, just ask us girls. We know the astrology. Okay, we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
I work in dementia care.
Yeah. Lady Phoenix.
Hey, you'll have some pianos playing on their own.
What you got for Lady Phoenix?
This was not an easy episode.
Welcome to the Birdman Show.
Oh man. But I will say I've always been the one to say, if you need anything, reach out. But over the last almost a year,
don't you fucking call me.
I've really pretty much, like, seriously, like, I always felt bad for telling somebody for thinking that it was okay to tell somebody, I can't help you, because I'm not that person. And I've realized over the last almost year that I need to step back and take care of me. And even though it is still hard for me to tell someone I don't have the energy, like the mindset, the emotional, mental capacity to help you, because I'm completely drained myself, You know, I'm okay with that. I still feel terrible, but I'm okay. So I will tell anybody, if you need, reach out. Please don't take offense if I tell you I can't help you at this time, but I can refer you to somebody else.
Hey, those reference letters are good.
So it is.
Sometimes
And
you
I
just
just want
don't
to
have
say,
enough
anybody
spoons.
watching on TikTok, if you see Birdman Sports 247 responding to your, that is me. That's just the Birdman Sports profile. Because obviously I'm not able to do it while I'm in the studio here because it's just whatever.
Did you
Anyways,
say spoons?
huh?
Yep, sometimes you
You're a
just don't have
spoonie?
enough spoons.
You're
I
a
am a spoon.
spoonie? Yay! Somebody else knows what the spoon theory is.
Mhm.
Okay. Roger that. I'm just going to say that.
I never thought that the spoon theory would come up in this conversation.
I love the spoon theory. I tell it to everybody that'll listen.
I am so
Every
glad that
single person on this podcast right now is a spoonie, whether they know it or not. I'm just saying.
And
There's
Tim's lost right now.
there are never enough spoons in the day.
Never. I'll send you a infographic. I've got pictures to explain it.
What?
Hmm I
First
think
of all,
that's how I explained
anytime
it
you
to.
say you got pictures of anything, I'm extremely nervous.
I have never sent you weird pictures. I'm not Ace.
No, but I've had weird conversations with you.
DK, I agree with that.
What was that?
I'm the same
He
way.
gives it.
He says I give advice better than I receive it.
I think just about everybody's like that. Ace, what are your closing thoughts?
The first thing I want to say is I couldn't agree with Miss Dean more. When it comes to personal health, self-care is the number one priority. No matter how much you feel like you are obligated to help somebody else, if you are not taking care of yourself, then you're not able to take care of them.
Why do I feel like you're calling me out? Go ahead.
If the shoe fits, then by all means try it on.
The shoe
I got a
fits
lot
by
of shoes, damn it.
The worst thing that you can do in a situation like this is try to help somebody whenever you are not mentally stable, because the advice that you are giving them is the advice that you should be taking. 9 times out of 10, anybody who is giving advice that is dealing with trauma, just like DK said, you're better at giving it than receiving it. But the easiest way to give advice is to reflect on yourself and what would you need to be able to get through a situation like that. And that's the advice that you give. It's not the advice that you're going to take, but you can relate to a problem and give great advice. It's just better if you're actually practicing what you preach.
Ace, how many times have I said it in your lives? You cannot drive an empty car, a car with an empty gas tank.
And you cannot pour from an empty glass.
You cannot pour from an empty glass, and you cannot feed a starving soul without feeding your own first.
Exactly.
Ms. D, I can see right now I'm never going to have you on the show again because you just won't stop. You won't stop, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I love you, Tim.
Multiple times to behave yourself, ma'am. And you are not doing that, okay?
I'm sorry. I'll stop being so positive.
Bad Miss D. Bad Miss D. No. I love you. You're awesome. Like you've probably have skipped a ton of people on my favorite persons list.
Oh,
Because I love your insight. But Mandy, you're right up there as well.
I appreciate that. Thank
You
you.
guys work in, and have to deal with this. And I got to say this real quick because I'm dealing with something in my life that it's hard because I've dealt with it with my grandmother, and I'm starting to see my mother go through it. And she worked in the same healthcare field for decades, and she's struggling because she feels herself slipping, and she knows what her patients went through. To the point where when I went to go see my niece for her baby shower, and I walked in, and my mother didn't recognize me. It took her a second, and she cried for 10 minutes because
I'm
she
so
was.
sorry, Tim.
I appreciate it. I'm not gonna say I was like, oh, you know, no, I appreciate it. I think thank you. And she's scared. And in both your guys' comments, especially you, Andy, talking about, you know, seeing someone slip away that and there's nothing you can actually do to help them is probably the scariest thing, probably out of anything I went through in the military. This knowing that I have to prepare myself and everybody else have to knowing I have to prepare because my mother, when it came to my grandmother being my best friend, my mother was second when it came to that aspect. My mother's always first, but when it came to that, as far as the women in my life that I really look up to, my mother and my grandmother were pretty much neck and neck. They're pretty much neck and neck. So this is a uncertain, extremely terrifying time right now. Because I'm scared to death for my mother. Yeah, I haven't even considered myself at this point in time, but I'm scared to death for my mother. Because she has dealt with that for so long. She was there. She was basically helping take care of my grandmother when she was going through all this. Before she passed, and then dealing with her patients all this time, and now she's going through those stages now herself. So I appreciate you guys, you two, um, so much. I
So it could
appreciate.
be hereditary too, Tim.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I do. I'm actually looking
oh,
forward to
that's
today.
it.
There's a lot of people I'm trying to forget. So I am. Listen, I got a whole list of things I plan on doing. I got a list because I know I'm going to be forgetting it. So I got a list. I'm actually later going to get tattooed on me somewhere so that way I can read it later. And then that way I can go through because there's a whole bunch of mischief I'm going to be causing when I start going through that stuff. Oh yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be real
Brady's
good.
gonna be creating a video like 51st dates that he's
Y'all
gonna
going to see
watch
me
every
on
morning.
TV, baby. I'm gonna be they definitely. I'm gonna be like that woman that escaped from the nursing home in the wheelchair.
And call you Hell on Wheels.
Yes, right. Oh yes, I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it. But anyways, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Shane, he ended up bouncing out a little earlier. Um, he
I hope
bounced out.
he's okay. He got pretty emotional.
It was listen. It was tough for everybody.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't fault him for that at all. Um, especially he's had the things that are very recent going on, some loss very recently. And it's tough to deal with that. And we all process differently. We all react differently. Um, Sometimes we can do pretty well, and then other times if we get in that situation where it's one of those things that is staring in your face and and you're sitting there talking about it, it's not something you can always handle.
Well,
Um,
you're right. I mean, I lost two of the biggest rocks in my life last year. My grandma on my
mm,
mom's side and my dad.
yeah,
So I'm dealing with that.
yeah, Like I said, I love all y'all. I love y'all because each of you had the courage to come on here and do this. And this was not. I knew it wasn't going to be an easy thing. Thank you, Tabs. I knew it was not going to be an easy thing. But I think, and Ace and I talked privately about this. I think it did accomplish what I wanted.
Right. Well, like I was telling JJ, she had messaged me earlier. Are you okay with me sharing this? She
Too
had,
bad.
anyways. She had messaged me earlier in the podcast saying that this was hitting her harder than what she had expected. And my response to her was, I'm sorry that it's affecting you, but this is a topic that we can't truly prepare ourselves for until we actually dive into it. I mean, with other topics, other episodes that we do on here, we can do research until we're putting toothpicks in our eyelids to keep them open. But whenever it comes to personal, I don't want to say personal failures because it's not really a failures, personal setbacks. Yeah. Personal setbacks. That's something that most people try not to think about. Because if you're thinking about the negative things that you weren't able to accomplish in your life on a daily basis, then that stands the chance of keeping you in that mindset for that much longer of a period of time. So it's true. Whenever we do these panel sessions like this, we can sit there and script it 5 days from Sunday. But until we start talking about it, we don't know what direction it's going to go. We don't know how it's going to affect us. So it tends to bring out the raw emotion in people.
Yeah, it does. Okay. All right, gotta go. All right. Ace, quick thing. Was Sunday a one-off thing, or is that something you're thinking about doing?
I'm bringing it back.
Okay, you're bringing it back. Okay, in that
You need to
case,
get my cards out if I join. Okay, had to tell me.
I'm doing it different this time.
Okay, I
I
wasn't
like the
there.
new way. I like the new way.
Okay.
you like the new way.
So, Mandy, there will be one night that will be dedicated to nothing but your cards.
Well, that's cool that you're doing it that way.
Yep.
So, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what's going
I
on with
love
that?
you. I love you guys. I'm gonna go.
Much love to
Okay.
everyone and hugs.
Love you.
Last Sunday, I decided to come out of my shell. And, oh, you son of a bitch. Last Sunday, I decided to come out of my shell. I had taken some time off to work on myself. I didn't feel like I was ready, which I still don't feel like I'm ready, but I can't keep hiding. And the easiest way to get past something is to have a distraction. So, with that being said, I had a pretty good distraction last Sunday, and that was that I brought my trivia back. So, every Sunday going forward at 6 p.m. Central Time, I will be live on TikTok. There's my information. Go to TikTok, search me up, send me a follow, come join the live, and it's a really good time. The way that I'm doing it this time is I'm picking the categories, and I'm trying to pick music to match the category.
Oops, didn't mean to do that.
So, like last week, we did 80s.
Damn it, and I missed it.
You did. and I played 80s music to go with it. This Sunday, it's probably going to be 90s, and we will play 90s music to correlate with the topic. So if you're not doing anything Sunday, 6 p.m. Central for Miss D and those on the East Coast, it would be 7 p.m. Central. Come hang out. It's always a good time.
That is correcto. Correcto mundo. It is a good time. Surprisingly enough, last time I didn't want to say Tyler Perry for the win. So I have
You
grown.
did not. You had somebody else say it for you.
Yeah, hey, influence is influence. It is what it is. Don't forget about tomorrow night, the Birdman Show recap. I have TikTok down on there, but it's also going to be on our YouTube channel, which you guys are all on now. Whether you're watching us on TikTok or you're watching us on YouTube, just come back. It's going to be the same thing. We're doing the recap tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central Time. So it'll be an interesting recap. What were you about to say?
Everybody's upset they didn't get their pew pew.
Oh, are you serious? Are you guys really that freaking?
Better have it tomorrow, or we riot.
Oh, shut up! Oh my God! Yes, I will play. Matter of fact, I'll play the first thing tomorrow. How about that? But yes, please don't forget to join us tomorrow for the recap. Honestly, I planned on doing that as the second commercial, but we got so wrapped up in everything else we were doing that I didn't even play another commercial. So there you go. There you have it. Don't forget that the audio version for this episode will be available tomorrow on our Spotify channel. All you have to do is go to the Birdman Podcast to check that out. Like I said, once again, don't go to the Birdman Show podcast. It's the old one. The Birdman Podcast is the current one that has the current episodes of the Birdman Show on there. So definitely go check that out. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much. I don't even know if we can do a super fan chat for this one.
No, whenever it comes to a panel like this, we don't pay. I'm not paying that close of attention to the chat.
Oh, I was definitely paying close attention, and we had some great things.
We did
ones where I might just because I can go back and look at it. And if we do, because like I said, we're gonna be getting the new shirts and everything in. So when we make t-shirts, I might just try to send everybody a t-shirt. Jesus, this was just a freaking.
I think everyone did wonderful in opening up and expressing things.
Yeah, 100%. Before we get out here, I gotta do one thing. Hold up, let me check something out real quick.
Watch him put the wig on.
I was about to say, Tim, I can always send you some. I've always got extra.
Wigs?
Mm-hmm.
That's right, baby. That's right. You know who's in the house? This is Baby Fro. We up in here, and we want to get up out of here. We want to tell everybody once again, thank you for joining the Birdman Show for this episode. I had to throw a little something funny in there.
Oh my gosh.
We had a real tough episode this episode. But you guys were beautiful. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank my panelists. I said panelists. I want to thank my panelists.
I was just going to say, did you seriously just say penis in the baby voice?
Thank you, Dad. Love you.
Baby law. I don't know. I didn't know. I said pantoless.
See, I want to look good in short hair, though.
So the Birdman Show, don't forget to join us tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central Time for the Birdman Show recap. We'll be right back to recap this episode and talk about a few other things. But we will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. You already know what to do. So go ahead and do it with us one more time as we get up out of here. Birdman.
How nasty can you get all the way from the